Okay, welcome to Central Massachusetts Podiatry. My name is Don Pelto, and I have Dr. Neil Feldman. Welcome, Neil.
Hey, Don. Thanks for
Hey,
having me.
we're chatting here today because we're coming up on the Boston Marathon, and I have a few questions for you that some of the patients have asked. So, first of all, are you running this year the marathon? Yes or no?
No, I'm not. And while I'll miss it, I really didn't miss not training for it this year. I love Boston, but I hate training for Boston.
Yeah, you're going to be volunteering or in one of the tents there this year?
Not this year. No,
Mhm.
I've done volunteer work, run it 12 times. I've been out there supporting friends, running with friends. And this year, unfortunately, I do have some friends running, but I'm not going to be able to be there.
Okay,
Be there in spirit.
in spirit. So, what's it like as we're coming into the week before the race, what we call the taper period? Is it pretty stressful for when you were running it or when people are training? How's that going?
Um, I guess, with experience, you sort of learn, and unfortunately you learn from mistakes, or fortunately you learn from mistakes. But, early on, like beginner runners, it can be very stressful because you've trained and trained and trained, and your mileage is built, and you've been singularly focused on a specific day. And all of a sudden, about 3 weeks before the race, you start not running as much, and you have all this energy, and you're starting to heal and recover, and you're getting excited, and there's anticipation. And then you start second guessing, did I train enough? Have I run enough? And there's a lot of people that go out and run way too hard during the last 3 weeks of the race, trying to somehow steal some last bit of fitness. And there's virtually no fitness gains you can make in the last 3 weeks. You can only really screw it up.
Mhm.
If you're a faster runner, and faster, if you're going for, say, low 3 hours or faster than 3 hours in the marathon, the last 3 weeks is really a time to start honing in on speed, doing some short, faster efforts. But your overall volume really decreases, and it really screws with people because you start putting on a little weight. You don't really know what to do with yourself because you've been running so much that there's less running, and it's just you and your mind. And that's when body aches start coming. And that's when, all, all of the stress, it's very stressful. It really is.
So it sounds like it's actually more stressful the week before than it is probably during the training, as long as you can stay healthy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This last week, typically I'm a bit of a head case. You look at the weather, like what's the weather going to be like? What's race day going to be like? Am I going to be able to, hit my fitness goals? Am I going to be able to finish?
Mhm.
There's so many fundraisers out here. Several of my friends are raising a lot of money for charity. Like $10,000, $15,000. Truly amazing. And some of them are, battling through injuries. So the worry there is like, I'm supporting this charity, and I want to
Mhm.
be there. People have donated to me, and I just want to finish. I want to be there for them.
Yeah, yeah.
It's tough.
You were talking about, as you're looking at the weather forecast, how does weather affect those that are running, let's say, their first marathon? What do you have to prep for if it's too hot or too cold? How does that work?
So, again, this is why I say, training for Boston is hard, or I don't like it, because we live in New England, and, most of the runners are probably from New England. It's cold here, and then race day can bring anything. I've run in 90 degrees. I've run in 40 degrees, driving rain, massive headwinds, you name it. Boston can bring everything. And it's you train in cold weather, and I think the worst is when you get a hot day, because especially newer runners, one of the things that happens a lot is you don't drink a lot. If you're going to go out on a 3-hour run or a 2-hour run, if you're drinking the way you're going to drink in a marathon, you're probably going to have to pee a lot. And if you're running on roads, where are you going to pee? So all of a sudden, it sounds silly, but you don't drink the way you're going to drink during the race, and you don't eat the way you're going to eat during the race. So you haven't really trained your gut. So all of a
Mhm.
sudden race day comes, and there's Gatorade and water every single mile. It's hot, so you're drinking a lot. And what ends up happening is your gut starts shutting down, and you get nauseous. And then a
Mm.
lot of people start to throw up. You get sick. Just your body starts to shut down. And that's one of the challenges that hot weather brings. Cold weather, it's just being comfortable. Rainy weather, it's just being comfortable, because in 2018, it was miserable. It was about 45 degrees, about 20 to 30 mile an hour headwinds, driving rain the whole time. You're soaked to the core from the get-go. And for me, I'm little. I was just trying to hide behind bigger people and kind of make my way forward. And I think I drank, over the course of the entire marathon, a half a water bottle with electrolyte solution, because it was so cold I couldn't get my hand to actually work. And I had half a bottle left when I hit Cleveland Circle, which is mile 22, and I couldn't even grip the water bottle as I was taking a turn. It flew out of my hands. I watched it go, and I was like, I can't even pick it up. I'll probably cramp. So I just kept going. That's not what I recommend to people. I would recommend, I was going for a time there, but I recommend certainly, stopping and walking. If you feel nauseous, slow down. It's your body's way of saying you need to digest whatever's in your system. And if you keep running, you're just going to get more and more nauseous, and eventually your body will win and it will shut you down. But really, pacing strategies need to change. I mean, a lot of newer runners just really want to finish, but most people do have this like time goal in their head. Like, I want to run a marathon, but I want to run it, or like, I don't want to walk, or I want to run a marathon, but I want to do it in under 5.5 hours or 5 hours or 4.5 hours. There's this sort of mythical number that they have in their head that to them is sort of the carrot that they're chasing. And it's one of those things that you just don't know how you're going to feel 16 miles into a race, 18 miles into a race, 22 miles into a race. And the best laid plans, sometimes are ruined when also you've trained in 30 and 40 or 20 degree weather and it's 80 degrees or 75 degrees, or even, 50 degrees with the sun beating down on you. If you don't have hat, if you don't have sunglasses, it's hot. It's exposed. Most of this race, you're running in the middle of asphalt and it's exposed, and it usually feels a lot hotter than it is.
Wow. And how do you deal with the nerves the day before or the couple of days before in terms of your sleep? Does that ever affect the runners as they're preparing for the race?
Yeah. Now I try to really get good sleep in the days leading up to the race, but probably 2 days before the race. So for Monday race, Saturday night's probably the best night to get a really good night's sleep. With some of the events that I do with the ultra running, you wake up, the race starts at 4 a.m. or an Ironman will start at like 7 a.m. And, you got to get up really early. And I never sleep the night before the race. But Boston it starts a little later. And it used to start at noon, but now it starts around 10 a.m. and they have wave starts. But unless you have to drive to Boston and take the bus, like we're lucky here, we can just drive right to the start. You usually can sleep in a little bit when you're from Central Mass, but, out of towners that are, you got to be at a bus early. So, and the night before, there might be the nerves. The night before isn't quite as important. The race is going to be anywhere from, say, 3 hours to 6 hours for most people. And, you don't need much sleep to get something like that done.
Yeah.
But I would say 2 nights before the race, it's important to kind of get your sleep.
And I know you talked a little bit about eating the day of the race or drinking. How about, is it important the days leading up to the race? How important is the nutrition there?
Yeah, you don't want to start eating foods that your body isn't accustomed to. You definitely don't want to get food poisoning or sick. I typically will add a little bit more protein. I'm not a big carb loader guy, but I think, what you've consistently eaten along training is good to continue with. I maybe up a little bit with the carbohydrates and the protein. I try to decrease the fat content. Your body more slowly digests fat and protein. So race day, I have no fat or protein, or very, very little protein and no fat. Like everything that I consume on race day is going to be used on race day. So it's like quick carbohydrates. It might be a power bar, applesauce, the gels, and all the like race nutrition. I definitely don't do bagels and peanut butter. And I don't do it because frankly, I did that and your gut just pretty much seizes up. But that's what a lot of people do. I add salt. I add a little bit more salt to my meals in the 2 days leading up, because you're going to be sweating a lot. And when you hydrate, even like with the Gatorade that they serve, If you're drinking a lot of Gatorade, it's going to become a lot. So you want to have some water too, but it's okay to have a little bit more salt in the days leading up to it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
In any, as we prepared for this, you gave me a lot of last minute pearls. So give me some of these other pearls that you talked about here, checking your gear, your shoes, nails, sunscreen, glasses, things like that.
Yeah, so I'm pretty anal retentive when it comes to race day, because I have these recurring dreams sometimes where um all of a sudden it's like I wake up, I'm still in my dream, and the race has started, and I got to scramble to the race, and then the race is already underway. And usually I'm like trying to find all my stuff, and it's just really stressful. So, in order to prevent that, typically on Saturday, so for Boston, it's a Monday race. So 2 days before, I make sure I have everything in the morning, so that if I go to the expo to get my race number, if I need any last minute items, whether it's a gel or a salt tab, or a hydration belt, or a hat, a new pair of, whatever it is, compression socks, I make sure that I have everything I need laid out, and I literally lay out a little me on my bench. So I have socks, I have shorts, I have my bib that I'm going to wear. When I get my number, I actually put it on my race number belt, or I would clip it right to the shirt. I have everything all set and ready to go as soon as possible. Gloves, hat. I think gloves are important to have with you. If it's going to be chilly in the morning, find a sweat top and sweatpants that you can just kind of donate to charity when you're done, because you don't want to sit there and freeze while you're waiting in the corrals for the race to start. And what's cool about Boston is they have all these bags for throwing your clothes in. So they generate a ton of clothing for charity. It's wonderful. The last time I ran it, it was pretty warm in the morning in 2019, and nobody had. There was almost like no donations to the clothes. A little bit sad, for that. So yeah, have the clothes you're going to bring to the race. Maybe have see if you're going to have a drop bag, or if you're going to have family there. But just get everything set so that when race morning comes, all you got to do is get dressed. All you got to do is execute the plan that you've already set in motion, and you don't have to stress about anything other than, maybe sitting in traffic, getting to the buses or whatever it might be. Things that are out of your control. If it's in your control, prepare and plan and try to get it 2 days. And you mentioned nails. As podiatrists, we should probably talk about toenails.
Are they going to get black? Are they going to fall off? Blisters, things like that?
Certainly. If you've run enough, you probably won't get blisters. But if you're a newer runner and you haven't really run a marathon, especially again if it's hot and you're sweating a lot, blisters are definitely a part of it. I would make sure your socks aren't too tight. Too tight, you're going to lose toenails quickly. I would trim your nails, not super thin. Make sure you don't get into the corners. You go corner, middle. But make sure there's no sharp edges on any of the sides. I do like to round it or file it smooth a little bit. And if you're going to have a problem, make sure you know about it the day before. So, worst case scenario, you can maybe deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't want to wake up race morning and then clip a nail and then all of a sudden have a hangnail that you're running with. It's horrible. Oh, the other thing that I'll do, again, I mentioned I'm being retentive about this. I absolutely make sure that when I go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, because like now in my 50s, I'm peeing at least 2 times a night. But before that, it was, you're drinking a lot here. I also do the sport drinks in the days leading up, because I'm really trying to get like a little extra salt and hydration. So you end up peeing a lot, and I make sure I'm peeing enough so where my pee is clear instead of yellow. But that means you're going to get up a few times in the middle of the night. And I know people that have kicked things and broken toes the morning of the race, the night before the race, and that will not be me ever. If there's anything I can do about it. Any objects in my room, they're clear. I have to meet somebody that's done it once, and I'll learn from them.
Yeah, to never do it again. That's great. As we finish up, there's something I want to show everyone here above your head. If you can just rotate that picture that we were saying of you, because I know you're not running, but you've run a number of them. So here are a lot of the bibs from your running. And so this is explain to everyone what this is. This is your personal best times here.
Yeah, that's my PR board. A good friend of mine got this for me as a gift a number of years ago. So that's my fastest marathon time, 50K, 50 mile and 100-mile times. It's got
Wow.
some of my bibs. It's got one of my New York finishes, a bunch of my Boston Marathon finishes. This was my wife was in the bleachers at the 10-year ago bombing year.
Wow.
And we fortunately left about 10 minutes before. I had finished early that year, and we were going to be in the bleachers and finished just before. So that's an important keepsake. And yeah, so it's
That's
just
good.
kind of sitting up here as a little reminder of
Yeah.
some of the things that I've been fortunate enough to be able to do over the years.
Well, thank you. I think it's gonna be very helpful, and maybe
Yeah, let me
maybe we'll go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to a few of my friends that are running. Jeff Ginsburg, he's raised about $15,000 for Dana-Farber, running for a real close friend of his, and somebody who actually passed away last marathon Monday from cancer. We grew up together. Just a good friend of Jeff's and a friend of mine in high school, and just so sad. So Jeff's running for him. He's raising a lot of money. My friend Jim Hughes is running for Alzheimer's research. He's also a qualified runner, so he's raising money out of the goodness of his heart. It's wonderful. There's a bunch of patients that we've had, too many to name, that we've supported along the way, both by helping them in their journey, but also helping with their fundraising. Some doctors and other patients that have been running. I found out today from one of my patients, her daughter, who I did bunion surgery on so many years ago, Mary Rose. She's running her first ever marathon. I'm so excited for her. So yeah, it just, I'm excited about the people that, I care about, that are running. It really is an exciting day. I will miss it. I'll be checking in. I'll be checking the feeds between patients when I can. And, can't wait to hear all the stories afterwards. It's really an amazing experience. So if you haven't had a chance to at least be out there cheering people on, you should do that. And if you ever get the chance to maybe do one of these things, it's a pretty amazing thing to just kind of have experience with.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Neil and Dr. Feldman.
All right.
Underneath this video, I'm going to put a few of your blog articles. You have some great blog articles that you've done on some of these topics as well. So,
All right. Thanks so
okay,
much. Have a good
thanks.
night.